Let me ask you a simple question. If poverty exists because people don't have enough money, why don't governments just print more of it? Think about it. More money means people can buy more things. People are happier. Poverty disappears. Sounds genius, right? I mean, governments literally control the money printer. So why not just turn it on, print trillions, hand it out, and fix everything? Well, this idea sounds smart for about 10 seconds. Because the moment a government actually tries this, entire economies collapse. And in this video, you'll understand exactly why printing money doesn't make countries rich, and why, historically, it has destroyed nations instead. Before we jump into disasters, we need to understand one core idea: inflation. You've probably heard this word before. People say, printing money causes inflation. But what does that actually mean? Inflation is not magic. It's not complicated formulas. It's just basic human behavior. Inflation happens when there's more money, but the same amount of stuff. Money itself has no value. It's just a tool we use to trade for things we want: food, housing, energy, services. So when money increases faster than things you can buy, prices go up. Not because businesses are evil, not because people suddenly become greedy, but because competition changes. Let me show you how. Imagine a small town. There are 5 people: Bob, John, Alex, Jack, and Tony. And there are only 5 loaves of bread available today. Each loaf costs $5. Each person has $5. Perfect balance. Everyone buys 1 loaf. No problem. Now the government steps in and says, "Great news. We're giving everyone an extra $5. Suddenly, everyone now has $10. But here's the catch. There are still only 5 loaves of bread. Now everyone wants 2 loaves instead of 1. But the bakery can't magically double production overnight. Ovens take time. Wheat takes time. Farmers take time. So what happens? People start competing. Someone says, "I'll pay $6. Another says, "I'll pay $8. Another says, "I'll pay $10. The baker looks around and thinks, well, people can afford more now. So the price becomes $10 per loaf. And what's the result? Everyone still gets 1 loaf of bread. But now they pay twice as much. No one is richer. Money didn't create bread. It only changed the price tag. You might think, okay, but at least the bakery is richer now. Not really. Because now all bakeries have more money. So they all want to buy more wheat. But wheat doesn't appear out of nowhere. It has to be grown on land. And land is limited. So bakeries start competing for wheat. Wheat prices go up. Now the cost of making bread rises. So bakeries raise prices again. This ripple effect spreads everywhere. Food, rent, fuel, transportation, services. Eventually, prices rise so much that money loses meaning. People don't feel richer. They feel poorer because their paycheck buys less every month. This is inflation. And when it gets extreme, it becomes something much worse. Extreme inflation is called hyperinflation. This is when prices don't rise yearly or monthly, but daily, hourly, sometimes even every few minutes. At this point, money stops functioning as money. People rush to spend cash immediately because waiting even 1 day means losing value. Savings are wiped out. Salaries become useless. Trust in the system collapses. And this isn't theory. It has happened multiple times. Let's look at what happens when governments actually try to print their way out of problems. After World War I, Germany was devastated. The empire collapsed. Infrastructure was destroyed. The government owed massive war reparations. They had debts. They had no money. So they printed it, a lot of it. At first, it seemed to work. Until it didn't. By 1923, prices were doubling every few hours. People carried wheelbarrows of cash just to buy bread. A loaf that cost 250 marks in January cost 200 billion marks by November. Savings disappeared. Middle-class families were destroyed. Money became cheaper than firewood. This economic chaos didn't just cause poverty. It created anger, desperation, and instability. And that instability reshaped world history. Decades later, Zimbabwe repeated the mistake. The government faced falling production, unemployment, sanctions, and economic collapse. Instead of fixing the root problems, they printed money to cover expenses. The result, by 2008, inflation reached 89.7 That's 89 followed by 20 zeros. People needed stacks of cash to buy eggs. Prices changed within hours. Eventually, the currency became completely worthless. Money still existed, but trust didn't. Venezuela had everything. The largest oil reserves on Earth. Massive income during high oil prices. But instead of building a diversified economy, the government relied on subsidies and control. When oil prices crashed, income vanished, but the spending didn't stop. So they printed money. And once again, history repeated itself. Hyperinflation destroyed purchasing power. The currency lost meaning. People weren't poor because they had no money. They were poor because money meant nothing. At this point, you might think, okay, fine, don't give it to people. But why not print money just to pay foreign debt? Because the moment you do that, everyone notices. Currency markets react. Investors lose trust. Your money loses value. Foreign lenders don't want payment in money that's being diluted. To them, it looks like fake money. Once trust is gone, borrowing becomes expensive or impossible. So what actually works? Creating value, education, infrastructure, technology, efficient businesses. When production increases, prices stabilize. Jobs are created. People earn money, not receive it for free. And when money is earned, it's valued. That's how countries like Japan and South Korea grew strong. Not by printing money, but by building things people actually want. Because in the end, you can't eat money. And having billions of dollars means nothing if there's no bread to buy.